Well, good morning, everybody. I'm at Parcaut here with Francisco Rubalcava Jr. How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
Good. Not a bad week. It's one of those nice to be back after the holidays. I know it's Thursday and I'm just bringing that up, but it's my problem was, I don't know about you, but I was like, what day is it today when it was Monday? It's like, it doesn't feel like a Monday when you had 4 days. I took 4 days off.
So. Yeah, it's like
and today's Thursday and I'm like, wow, it doesn't even feel like a Thursday.
I did the same thing. I just had like a reset, I think it's good to do that every now and then and have a few days where you just really, actually relax. And especially when it's the holidays, it's the perfect time to take advantage. Because I normally, every year I was kind of consistently like reaching out to people like during the holidays. But I don't know. I figured, it's time for family and things like that. So I didn't bother anybody this year.
Well, that's good because a lot of people, I think they're just tired of all the bombardment and stuff. I'm sorry, I didn't turn off my noise this morning. And it was good to not reach out to anybody. And it was weird because I was at my cabin, and this is weird. I went to AT&T here locally just to change everything, and because of their internet and everything else. It was the first time I had signal at my cabin in 9 years.
That's crazy.
They had put a cell tower in Cold Springs, which is right, where I live, but up the store, and it was AT&T, and they were messing with Verizon's signal after that. So we went to, and I couldn't believe I was like 5G 2 bars in my cabin.
Yeah, that's crazy because they put that 5G tower in like a year ago, right?
It's a couple years. Yeah, it's been a while. And I was like, damn, why wasn't it Verizon? But actually, it's better because now there's more competition and people are going. And because the people have told me, but it were like for years, everybody since I owned my cabin and worked up there was like, don't do AT&T, it's horrible service. It is pretty much everywhere else, but up there, and because here at my house I only get 1 bar 5G.
Yeah,
but I have amazing Wi-Fi, so I can just Wi-Fi calling. So.
Right.
But enough about the stuff that doesn't matter. How's what's new on the market? Anything new that you see?
I think it's still relatively the same, where just getting creative and finding ways to go around the current high rates.
These are going to be normal rates for a while. People are asking what rates are going to be next year, and we're going to be lucky to be lower than 6 to 6.5.
Right.
That's what we're looking at. That's still a good rate.
That's really good. Yeah. Especially
we're at 8.
Right, and that's
today's a good rate. We're down almost a 1%.
Things like, was it like 7 right now? So
it's just okay. You here's the problem. If I quote a rate, I have to do an APR. So what I do is I wait for Fannie Mae to come out with what they say it is, and that's why I say Fannie Mae saying this and Freddie Mac, and I haven't seen that number this week, but I'm going to tell you it's at least 7/8 better than what it was the last time you had your numbers looked at.
And that's huge because
that's a couple $100.
Yeah,
on average, if not more.
And then you pair that, with the rate buy down, like especially like a temporary buy down, right?
And what I'm running into where I'm seeing a lot more of it is we're not doing the 3-2-1 buy downs or the 2-1 buy downs. We're doing a 1-0 buy down. People go, what's a 1-0 buy down? You only buy the rate down 1% the first year. It gives you 12 months to get used to a payment, and then it's going to go to the addition, what the payment would be normally at that point. A lot of people go, why do that? Well, it's just cheaper to get in to do that. It's not 10 grand or 8 grand to do the 2-1 buy down, or 12 to 14 to do the 3-2-1 buy down. People go, huh? Because what it is whatever that difference in that interest rate is per month is what you pay in the buy down. So if it's a $250 difference in the payment per month, that's times 12 months. That's what your buy down to get in. Are you following me here?
Yeah.
So that's like $6. So if it was $250 a month, that's $2,500 plus another $500. So that's $3,000. It's not that much, but you get a little break on your payment.
Right. And that's, I think, like you said, right. It's about like helping people like ease into it.
Mm-hmm. I can't afford it. Well, yeah, you can. You just don't think you can.
Right.
If a lender's telling you can afford it, we are telling you can afford it. It's just you have to rearrange some things for you to understand that.
Yeah, I think we've gone over that like a lot.
Right? Doesn't matter. You got to keep going over it. Once you get tired of saying it, they're starting to listen. That's what I learned on radio. Okay.
No, what I mean by that is even like, we've even seen it firsthand with like even some of our, clients that we've helped, that kind of just completely backed off and took a break, because I get it. For a lot of people, it changed, but that's why it's like, find ways to get creative. Like we said, with these rate buy downs, if we're hoping, for the next year for the rates to drop even like 1 or 2%, right? Do another one.
Well, don't wait for rates to drop. And that's the things that we're telling you, because
Right.
people in the 80s, if they waited for rates to drop, is 22 years. People
Yeah.
still bought and sold houses between that. You just have to understand there's a way you can do it. You just have to be okay with that and figure that, that out. And it's always in the past, for the past, as long as people have been buying real estate and they're buying it for them to live in, everybody goes, Mike, I don't know if I can afford this payment. It was the same during COVID. It was the same when rates were low. People still said it. Now rates are higher. People are saying it. People said it 20 years ago to me, 15 years ago, 10 years ago. And it's just what people are not used to. Rents are always usually cheaper than to buy. There was just a short period of time where it was the same or a little bit less.
Right. And then I know you say this a bit too, where it's like,
Do it.
where they end up reaching the point of like, they end up reaching the point where they're like, oh man, it costs more now to rent. So why,
Exactly.
and it's just kind of, that's the thing though, is that people need to understand is that, rents will keep going up. Everything is relative. Everything will keep going up. So that's why it's like, that's the beauty of purchasing a home, is that it's fixed, and that's where I try to help everybody understand, like, you do a rate buy down, right? And you're fine for a year. And then let's say you get there and then the rates drop and you can refi, right? And then you get into something lower and then you do another, temporary buy down if you want to do that. And you'll be really comfortable.
Right. But and so no one's saying this, but if you're putting 3% down and your house goes up in value, 7%, now you have 10% down, it's easy to refinance. If you have an FHA and you putting down 3.5% and your house goes up to 10% down, you can't refinance that FHA. It's just how the whole program works. You're better off switching over to conventional if you can go conventional. So you got to look at the numbers. So I try to tell people, even though people are telling you can refinance in a year from now, it might take you 1.5 to 2 years before there's enough equity for you to refinance. I could be totally wrong. We could go up 20% next year, like we were doing for many years, and then it'd be easy for you to get out. But if we only go up 6% or 7%, depending on what happens next year, I just don't want people to get into something that says, you told me I could refinance within a year and I can't do it.
Right.
Right.
No, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is you never know. So just when you're going into this, understand that this is what if you do the 1.0 buy down, this is my payment break for this year, for they're going forward. This is what my payment is. And what I would tell you to do is just make that payment from the beginning to yourself. You follow me? That extra $250 that you would save, put into an account for just in case I can't make it that payment that month because I can't make the difference. I can then take out of that to make for the next year. You follow me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and again, it's like we're saying, right? Like all it takes sometimes is just getting creative and like hunkering down on your finances. Like I think, even on the last episode where we were talking about just like even spending, right? Like for Christmas, things like that. And people have like this itching desire to like continue spending tons of money.
Well, I also think during the Christmas, they think they're guilty if they don't give everybody Christmas presents. Well, you need to just everybody take your family, everybody draws one person, and then you get one person a gift. That's it.
Yeah.
And because this whole issue of this is made up by TV advertising and all this stuff, and have your family help you buy a house. And that's why I tell people, if you can't afford it yourself, go in with your parents and then say, until I can buy you out, we'll split the equity.
Right. And
why not?
Well,
it's a win for everybody,
We'll credit everything, right? I know like some people see it like, and some people also are like, oh, well, it's a huge risk and then I'm financially responsible or whatever. But at the end of the day, you are helping each other grow. And it's like I said, I mean, it's have like exactly like you phrase it, right? Like have that goal to tell them like, hey, I appreciate, the help that you're doing, but I'm going to try to get you out of this as soon as possible, but just help me get my foot in the door,
Right. And a lot of people don't want to do that. Don't want to help their kids. I get it, because like you just said, they're responsible for that payment. Well, if you have skin in the game where you're making money off of it, and you have to take it over from your kid, not a big deal. Rent it, then kick them out. You know what I mean? Worst case scenario, you get into a house and now you bought a piece of real estate you wouldn't have been able to buy for 3.5% down or 3% down, and you're helping them. And if it's a triplex or fourplex, I'm not saying those are going to work, but I'm just saying you could do the same thing on those. And if they don't, if they be kids and they are screw up, you take it over and now you just have a fourplex that you got in for, instead of 25% down, for 5% down.
Right. No,
it's how the problem, just what you said in the beginning of this, where people say, I can't, it's more money now than before I can rent cheaper than I can buy, because it's an investment in your future. Before, for 2.5 years, people just did it because it was okay to do and it was not going to make a mistake. Now it's back to where it was. It's an investment in your future. If you didn't take advantage of those 2.5 years because you just didn't think that was the right time, that's okay. But you going forward, it's an investment. So that means it's going to be more than what you can get rent for, meaning what you can rent a place for. You have to vote, but eventually in 5 years, it's going to catch up to your payment and then keep going higher. So it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's like we said, hunker down for those 5 years and you'll be good.
Invest in your futures. That's how it always is. Real estate is an investment in your future. You're buying real estate leverage, right? The least amount you put down, the more money you make. Unlike stocks and that, where if you buy $200,000 worth of stocks, you got to pay 200 grand worth of stocks, cash wise. Where if you're buying a $400,000 home, you got to put down 3.5% and make payments.
Right. No, it's like even the property manager that I work with too, I'd mentioned, she even said, like, one time, I had this couple, it was they were investors, right? And they were saying that they wanted to buy into something. They're like, but we want it to be positive cash flow off the jump. And I brought it up to her and I was like, talking to her about it. She's like, they're not investors. Like, people need to change their mindset and understand that, things aren't that easy, right? Like, you got to struggle for a bit and you have to change things in your life to come out of it with the positive effect, right?
Right. Unless you put more money down. Right. The only way to make it, so a lot of these people don't do loans, they pay cash. Well, they can buy one. But if you have, even if it's a little bit negative, that's okay, because after you write things off with your taxes and everything else, it's a depreciation and everything else. It's a positive gain for you. Just talk to your tax advisor and see what the benefits of having that negative will help you. And that's what you have to look at. Don't just look at I got to come out of pocket $200 a month. Well, then it won't always be that way.
Right.
All right, Francisco, thank you so much for coming in today. And I want to thank you for listening and watching. If you're watching, thank you again. I really appreciate you. Anything you want to say before we go?
No, yeah. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Appreciate your time. And if you have any questions or concerns, anything you want to know about, just reach out. My number is 209-493-2400, 209-493-2400.
All right.